Hello, beautiful family. I typically am not fond of, spiels or slogans, catchphrases, although I do like mantras. It may not be authentic. Somebody who has a YouTube channel that just says the same thing at the beginning of every video. However, the hello, beautiful family, that really resonates. Not only with me, but I hope also with you. So that's going to be a common theme on this channel. I think it just helps break the ice, so to speak, to get into the flow. I don't know if you noticed. Apologize if the attention is, distracted momentarily because of the black fly dilemma here. But it's all good. We're gonna flow with the chaos, right? The perceived chaos, the surface chaos. Really, no chaos. There's nothing in the world that needs changing or saving. And if you know that were to be so, hypothetically, we could say that the only thing to do that would be an increase in awareness. You see, our society, the world, tends to be one of excess, where the pendulum sways in either which direction and gets stuck there or polarized there. But maturity is the result of understanding that, you can be in harmony. And it's the middle way approach, allowing both ends of the spectrum, so to speak, to just do their own thing. Allow it to be. Not try to control it. There's no separate individuals, no separate selves that need saving. There's no separate seekers, no separate identities. However, it's part of the process, part of the spiritual process, letting go of that aspect of oneself, the mental identity. And if we're not careful, it can return. We can cling to a spiritual identity or scientific identity or whatever it may be. And this spiritual ego returns, right? That's part of the process. Because you let it go for good, you think, and then it comes back. And then you still have some more letting go to do. At least that's where I'm at, right? I am, those infamous words, I am. Really, I am is a statement of awareness. It's a statement of beingness. It's a statement of an awareness of existence. I am. I'm aware that I exist. However, we need not get caught up in the notion that I am what follows I am. We say I am something, need not assume that my identity is what follows that. Of course, that is valuable in the world. Our function, our role, our concept of ourselves in this earthly reality. We can say, I am that, in order to manifest that. And of course, when we're operating from a high level of consciousness, what we hold in mind tends to manifest. Instantaneous. And we see existence as a spontaneous, continuous, ongoing creation. It's really no sense of separateness or separation, because it's all one consciousness. All one beingness. Even on the surface, that which appears to be separate really is not. And same thing with you. If you have a goal or your worldly purpose, whatever you want to follow those words I am with, whatever your concept of yourself is, say you have a goal. Well, A goal really means that I go from here to there, and then I'm done. There's a beginning and there's an ending, right? But in reality, there's no beginning and ending. So really, there is no goal because you're already living your goal. Say your goal is to be spiritual. That's your intention. And say you're living spiritual today. Then you're already living your goal. You've already attained it. As long as you maintain that intention and are consistent with it, and you don't fall back, then your goal is already attained. Just keep going. Trust the process. It's not impractical. The element of faith is embedded within us, each and every one of us. Whether it be something you want to manifest in the world or a spiritual goal. Visualization has to do with form, has to do with the content of the world. And thus that's a worldly goal. But a spiritual goal is really transcendent to the world. It doesn't really have to do with the world or the five sensory experience. Say you set your intention to be spiritual, or more practical way of wording, we could say you set your intention to go east, right? You set your compass to go east in that direction. Intention is really a direction of life. So you set your intention to go east, and I ask you today, are you headed east? Are you going east? You say, yeah. Well, you've already fulfilled your goal. You've realized it. Because you're already going east today, now. There's no question of beginning and ending. You want to understand that the journey is the destination. The journey is one with the destination. The journey is to the destination as we are to each other, right? There's no separateness. It's already here now. It's already fulfilled, complete, and whole. And of course, that may seem impractical to a society in which we've been conditioned, many of us, with that sense of wantingness, operating from the solar plexus, right? That's why we want to move up to the heart space, as I said earlier in the video. Middle way is a way of maturity, right? The heart is the center of the body. It's also the center of the energy system, the chakra system. You could say it's the center of consciousness as well. It's the place of infinitude, infinity, where there's no limited identity because you see yourself as one with everything, as one with the cosmic heart as it's expressing, as you, as the horsefly there, as everything. And of course, I unconsciously just went to whack them, but, there's the virtue of non-killing. That includes little insects. And then you think, right, I'm virtuous. But we got to be careful because we don't want that spiritual ego to come back. I want to get stuck thinking I'm virtuous or I'm superior, I'm morally superior because I'm doing this. That's ultimately the fall of Lucifer, right? Pride. Because that's rooted in a notion of separation and rooted in a notion of duality, right? Again, you don't want to get stuck in polarity. The either or aspect of duality, like the pendulum swinging. Society of excess. You tend to either consume too much or maybe you fast too much, right? In the case of food. So I want to try to find the balance, the middle way approach. Operate from the heart space. And again, this is spontaneous, so I'm aware that it may not be a normal, linear, logical fluent dialogue, although I hope it resonates, and I hope you find value in it, because it's just expressing automatically, so I'm completely surrendered, and really it's not so much the words, but it's the state, the surrendered state. I'm in this state and I want to share it with you. Hence why I'm on here. Certainly not trying to convince you. I'm trying to impose upon you. But I want to share what I call myself with you in the world. So here I am. Howdy.
Hey, what's going on?
Just making a video.
Yeah.
I like your shirt.
Huh?
Cody.
A what?
I'm just making a video.
Yeah, okay, well, this is my place here. I heard some voices over here. I wonder what was going on.
Yeah. I made a video here the other day and it was just very peaceful. And I heard you hitting the hammer over there. So I figured somebody was... I know it says private property. I'm not hurting anything though. I can pick up and leave if you want me to.
What are you making a video of, though?
I have a YouTube channel. It's called Practice Being, and it's...
Oh, you're of yourself.
Well, yeah, it's... I was just
I thought
telling
you had
them...
the camera pointed that way. You've got it pointed this way.
Yeah, you want to be part of it?
Oh, no.
Yeah, just...
Oh, okay. Well, that's all right, I guess. And, yeah, I was just up on the roof.
You own the place right there and over
Not that place. That's the hunting club there.
there? Okay.
That place there.
Yeah, man, it's a beautiful spot. Very, very peaceful and kind of
Yeah.
off the beaten path. So I was driving by. I saw it was a dead end. I wanted to go to the end and kind of explore. Haven't been up here yet. And then I was drawn to this spot right here. So
Yeah, the road goes on for a while. It ends at Livingston Lake. Have you been to the end of the road?
yeah, I saw it was like blocked off, private. I don't know what that's. I looked it up online, but I didn't find anything.
Yeah, it's private property at the end of the road, but before you get there, it's state property.
Yeah.
I mean, it's mostly private property along the road here, but then the other side of Len's Lake is state land, and there's some state land along the road up that way.
Yeah, it's all beautiful land up here. I live right down the road in Harrisburg Road.
Oh, you do? You live there?
Yeah. Well, I live wherever I am right now, you know what I mean? But that's
Well,
that's my shelter, the technical home.
do you grow up there?
Nah, in the Glens Falls area, and
Oh,
moved out here. It was nice meeting you.
yeah. My name's Hank.
I always do the bow. I went to shake a guy went to shake my hand the other day, and
You might not want to shake my hands right now. They've got roofing tar on them.
he took it personally. He's like, "You're not gonna shake my hand." I'm like, "Man, I just do the bow. It's nothing personal, you know."
Whatever.
Yeah. Kind of my signature, you know what I mean?
All right.
But
well,
I'm probably just gonna keep this video. I'm not even gonna edit it, so you're a part of it. You might be famous. No, I'm just kidding. It's a small channel, just kind of, speaking my heart on here. And
where could I find it?
it's called Practice Being, so it's
Practice
on
Being.
YouTube.
What's your name?
My name's Alex.
What is it?
Alex.
Oh, Alex. Okay.
And what's your name?
Hank.
Yeah, you said that.
Like Henry. My nickname's Hank. Oh, bugs bothering you?
A little. I actually mentioned that in the video. I was like, a little
can be
bit,
pretty
but
bad
you
around here.
get used to it. I make a homemade bug spray. It's like apple cider vinegar, distilled water, and some essential oils and whatnot, but it works somewhat. I just kind of ignore them, you get used to them.
Yeah, they can be pretty bad. So not quite so bad in the breeze today. All right, well, carry on. And,
Nice meeting you, brother.
I got other things to do too.
You'll notice too, when you're in a surrendered state, that the whole world responds to you differently. That not only not really aware of the body. It kind of just does its own thing automatically because you're more identified with consciousness itself. And thus, spiritual progress tends to manifest much more rapidly. And same thing with thoughts that are held in mind, goals that are held in mind, tends to manifest much more rapidly because you're in that surrendered state. You've transcended the wantingness, and the world responds to that sense of lightheartedness because there's no sense of separateness. And even if somebody is hung up on a personal identity or identifies themselves as a separate individuality, you, them being in your presence, it's not your presence, it's an impersonal presence acting to and through you. It's an energy field. But just somebody being enveloped and wrapped in that, maybe an angry person in your presence, your intention is to be on the spiritual pathway, you're living that, you're being that, you're living the truth, you are it, not just know about it. The distinction between knowing about it and being it, right? We don't just want to accumulate information, we want to incorporate it, integrate it into our life. So, as such, that presence that is all-encompassing everything, awareness is everywhere, simultaneous, it's present, always, and an angry person in your presence will not be angry. There's that sense of safety, a sense of peace. People feel that they can just be themselves around you. They don't have to put on a role, put on an act, put on a certain mask, right? Persona means mask. They can just be themselves because there's no sense of expectation within you. You're not expecting anything of them. There's no ulterior motive. And whether or not they're conscious of it on an unconscious level, people know whether or not you have expectations of them or designs on them. And when you're operating from a heart space, all that's been surrendered because you're completely present and you're grounded and rooted in the moment. And thus, as I was saying earlier, any goal that you may have, whatever your purpose, if your intention is that and you're being that today, you are that, your intention is to be an author and you're writing today, even though your first book may not be manifest or officially published, you've accomplished that goal because you're that today, now, and you're not hung up on a beginning and an ending. You're not identifying as separate from the journey and the destination. You realize that you are perfect and complete where you are right now. And as long as you're living that intention, then you remain unfazed by the world. All that's going on, the perceived chaos, really has nothing to do with you and your reality, your subjective essence, your subjective sense of reality. Because your intention may not have anything to do with the coronavirus or whatever is going on in the world that bears no significance on the reality of your existence. I say your existence, but it's all one existence, expressing as these individual expressions that we call us and you and me and these personal identities, which is great as long as we can compartmentalize that and contextualize that and understand that that is not our fundamental identity. It's not just based on the label spirituality. We don't want to get caught up again in just knowing about something and accumulating information. We want to incorporate it into our actual being, to our subjective reality. The truth is, there's outwardly directed people and inwardly directed people. And again, we don't need to get polarized in either which way. We don't need to sit and meditate for 24 hours. But also, we don't want to get so caught up in the world that we think that that's it. That this five sensory reality is all there is. To get hung up on tangible and not understand intellectually and also know viscerally and subjectively that there is an invisible reality, an invisible realm or realms from which all that physically exists arises and manifests in the world. And that's something to which we all have access, that which we all fundamentally are. And of course, we can understand that conceptually. It's, of course, and it can be fruitful to investigate spiritual reality. But ultimately, we want to come to a point where we seek that within ourselves and not outside of ourselves. Of course, within is without. All that is manifest is the eternal. It's part of the eternal. Nature, although it's in a perpetual flux, it seems to be changing. Thinking in terms of that is again thinking in terms of a sequence, a beginning and ending. But really, there is no beginning and ending. It's all arising now, spontaneously. And there's no changing. Because the reality of our existence is right now. All there is and all there ever will be exists as you and me. Right now. Wholly and completely. So whatever your goal may be, understand that you already are what you seek. You're not separate from what you seek. The goal is not something far off in the distant future. You are here right now, progressing towards that. You already are that. As long as you're living your intention, you're living your purpose, don't let anybody say anything or sway you from that. Right? Stay firmly grounded and rooted in the truth of your being. We all have an inner voice that speaks to us throughout the day. It whispers sometimes. It leads us and guides us. It says, this is right. And this doesn't feel right. Not to get hung up on the duality of right and wrong, but you know what I mean. This feels truthful. This feels in accordance with my intention, my purpose, with my beingness, my subjective essence. And thus, I listen to that voice. I don't listen to what the world may say. Of course, everything that manifests and shows up in your earthly experience is teaching to you about yourself. All of reality is a manifestation of what's within you. And that's the truth. So somebody shows up, whether that guy just came over, Hank, there's a lesson to be learned. Everything. It's constantly teaching us. And when we view the world like this, we see that we're a lifetime student, that there's always room for growth. We live in a limitless sense because we understand that there's no end to opportunity. The opportunity to be a human, that we were born a human being, we were afforded a human life, a human form, when we could have been, an ant or a fly or whatever it is. Again, contextualize, put things into perspective, realize not only your essence, but also how valuable it is to be a human, specifically. Need not try to be a superhuman, but realize that it's already super to be a human. Your life is a gift. It's a gift to all that surrounds you. And thus, it's an opportunity for you and everybody around you. And I say this realizing that what I affirm for myself, I also affirm to others. What I affirm to others, what I do unto others, I do that unto myself. It's all one self. Self with a capital S, right? It's that sense of beingness and completeness and wholeness. It's a visceral sense. And I want to shout out to somebody. His name is Brian Lottman. Lottman. And I went to a satsang yesterday. A couple of wonderful friends invited me to a satsang, a gathering, spiritual gathering. Satsang basically means a communion of truth. And this is the first man I've met in person that is basically living the same kind of lifestyle, except he's traveling. I'm kind of stationary at this moment. He's a traveling monk, and I as I was saying to Hank, I live in a house currently, but eventually maybe I'll be a traveling monk too. But Brian Lottman, look him up. He has a YouTube channel, and I was graced with his presence yesterday during the satsang, which so beautiful, so heartfelt, just really ineffable, beyond words. So I give you a shout out now, showing my gratitude for all that you do and all that you've done, and being blessed with your presence and all the beautiful mantras that you sang and conversation we had. Though it may have been brief, it was eternal. Just looking into each other's eyes, even just a split second, a moment of timelessness. You never forget that. That permeates your consciousness, and that stays with you throughout this life and the next, as you spiritually progress, as you evolve. All that you do, every choice, every action, every thought, every word, every deed, it's good to be conscious, because that impacts us not only in this life but the next, right? We can call it karma. Karma is our doing. It's not some external force. God is not some external force acting upon us. It's something within us. The reality of divinity is our very own subjectivity. The kingdom of heaven is within you. It's not outside of you. And thus, karma is your doing. Your soul awareness, awareness of your sense of being on a day-to-day basis. You see, religions have often professed God in the form of various descriptions and explanations. And counterproductively, this can get in the way of actually knowing the reality of God, surrendering to the presence, because then that forms a seeker, an individual seeker that's separate from God, as if God, like a goal that I mentioned, is something far off in the distance, in the future, something to be attained, something other than right now. The truth is, it's right now. No matter where we are, whoever we may be, there's no qualification. Of course, not everybody may get God's vote, so to speak, if we're not living harmoniously and we're not living spiritually in a way that's integrous. We set our compass in a way that, in a direction that with heartfelt intention, giving your life as a gift to all that surrounds you, surrendering that sense of wantingness and a sense of personal gain so that the reality of your existence is a win-win. It's a win-win-win. Win for you, win for everybody else, win for divine and evolution. There's not the typical normal motivation of self-servingness, because that's long been transcended. And so long as there is an individual seeker, or a sense of that the reality of God is not right now, or that something exterior, and we're really missing the point. Grace is always available to us. Christ, the man, the form called Christ, the energy of Christ, is eternal. It's not a person. Of course, a person can embody it, embody that presence, that essence, that energy, which is ever present. But we don't want to get caught up in idolizing somebody as if that's the only reality. Christ is one person. Christ is a personality. No, that's missing the point. Even he himself in the Bible said something along the lines of, we're all his children. We're all the Father's children. We all have access to the Holy Spirit. We don't want to get hung up on terminology and think that that's the reality, right? Words are pointing to something beyond themselves. You don't want to get trapped in a box in intellectual concepts, because those concepts can, again, if we don't learn to compartmentalize them, hey, around, can get in the way of just that joyous sense of I amness. Everything is perfect as it is right now. If you're still with me, appreciate you staying till the end. Although there really is no end, right? Or beginning.